Now we're going to talk about text. Text is something we deal with on a day-to-day basis, but in the mind of the computer, text is really nothing more than a big long list of characters, which are really nothing more than numbers. Text is a group of numbers. Text in a computer is usually called a string, and the reason it's called a string is because it's a string or a line of characters together. Each character is a number, and these numbers all make up a piece of text called a string. Apple pie is a string of characters, A, P, P, L, E, space, capital P, I, E. All of those put together create a string of text. Now, I want to talk about the way text started in the beginning of what we consider personal computing. And there was a thing called ASCII. And ASCII was what we started out with when it came to characters. It was the American Standard Code for Information Exchange, and it was only in English. There were only 128 characters that could be used, and there was a reason for this in the beginning because computers were much smaller than they are today, and they didn't have as much memory, so there was a need to make a small set of characters that were available on a computer, and most of these computers were really only available to English-speaking people. Not that other countries didn't use them, but they had to use them in English. Well, we found out that computers got better, and as computers got better, the rest of the world really wanted to use those computers in their own language. So now we have not only ASCII but more. Really what's happened is that they've taken this set of 128 characters and added a whole bunch more characters to it for all these other languages, so that when you go to a website that's from Korea, you can actually see the characters in their language, which is Hangul, or you could go to a Russian website and see their website in their language. It's addition to the ASCII set. Sometimes they have different names for these things like UTF-8, and it's extremely important that the computer knows what language it's dealing with. Now usually the computer is already ready to know what kind of language it's dealing with, but when we pass to that computer the wrong language, it can really mess things up. Most of the time the computer guesses right. I want to start talking about validation versus flexibility. I've told you many times that the computer usually does all the work for us, and it's really the programmer's intention when making these programs to help you and not hurt you. So what am I talking about when I talk about validation versus flexibility? Most computer programs check what you put into them. If you go on the web, you'll notice that they have places for you to input text or dates or pictures, etc. And usually those controls are specifically designed to make sure that only the kind of information that they want to get is the information that they get. This is called validation. Good computer programs work hard at helping you enter the data. They give you tools that help you pick dates. They give you buttons to help you locate files. And these are all good. But some programs work in the opposite direction. They work at trying to give you as much freedom and as flexibility as you can so that you can use the program for many different uses. A good example of this is Microsoft Excel. You know, Excel works hard at being flexible. Flexible is good. When you use Excel, you want to be able to do lots of different kinds of things with it. Flexibility not only is good, but it also means responsibility. I have Excel open right now, and I'm going to go ahead and show you it right now. And as you notice, I can type anything I want in here. I'm going to type good day in this box, and I'm going to type March 3rd, 1998 in that box, and I'll just get rid of the third there. Won't need that. And then I'll go over here and I will type 432, and then in here I can type 89.0123. Now each one of these boxes by Excel standards works. You can put whatever you really want in one of these boxes. Now in this case with this date, I can go over here and I can change the date format of this date. I can put it into a long date or something, as you can tell. So Excel works really hard at being flexible. Let's talk about complex data types. There's more to a computer than just text and numbers. There's quite a few examples of other types. You know that we deal with pictures. In this presentation, there's pictures on this presentation, like the reel of film in the bottom left-hand corner. There's sound. You can hear my voice. Animation. Sometimes in the web you can see things move around. Videos are a type of data. And there's also combinations and other types of data that are out there. Each type basically needs its own interpreter by the computer. We know that you have to have a special tool to be able to see certain kinds of pictures. If you don't have that tool, then it doesn't know what to do with those numbers, those ones and zeros. And there are multiple types of pictures. We know that there's a JPEG, a PNG, a TIFF, a BMP, and on and on. Each one of those has to be interpreted by the computer. Each one needs a special interpreter for it to understand what to present to you on your computer screen or printer. Then there's audio files. Audio files come in many formats: MP3, WAV, WMA, and each one of those needs its own interpreter. These interpreters are in the programs that you use, even on the web. So as far as data, it's all the same. All of this data, these pictures, these videos, these audios, and on, are really just a bunch of zeros and ones. The file name extension basically tells the computer how to deal with these ones and zeros. So now that we've looked at data in a really basic sense, let's start trying to come to a conclusion of what we've talked about here. It's really a bunch of ones and zeros, but not to us. We don't think in ones and zeros. We think in numbers, we think in text, and we think in complex items like pictures and audio and video, etc. We have computers that store all of these things in ones and zeros. And one of the major points I want to get across is that computers usually do the interpreting very well, but sometimes it needs a little help from our part, and we should be conscious of that. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back again for another installation of my office videos.